So today we're going to challenge ourselves to make hot cross buns extra and exciting. So we're gonna start today by doing some chocolate hot cross buns, and we're gonna fill them with some Tangelo mint pastry cream. Tangelo, because I couldn't find oranges, but I mean, small thing, you work with what you have, right? First of all, start with creaming our butter and sugar. And I start with a cup of butter and a cup of sugar, so like equal parts to start with. And Badawi does this fun thing where he puts ceiling mint leaves. I wouldn't say bay leaves because bay leaves is technically something else, but ceiling mint leaves in his sugar, so it's like slightly spiced already. So it's important to note that when you're creaming butter and sugar, this is not where you stop, right? It's combined here, but it's not creamed. You're gonna look for the butter to change color to a lighter color than it was originally. It doesn't have to be white, but it has to be significantly lighter. And at that point is when you start adding your eggs. You add your eggs one at a time and make sure they combined fully before you add the next one. Because a lot of people stop here and then they don't understand why the cake's not fluffy as mine and they use the same recipe. It's because your method needs a little tweaking, and creaming butter and sugar is one of those very important things at the beginning of a recipe. Don't rush it. Just take your time, let your butter change color, and then move along with your life. Everything moves along real quick after that. So this is the thing that takes the time and the proof. But the proof, you could sit and read a book or watch some TV while I'm proofing. That doesn't matter. One at a time. Ooh. I love to see eggs with these yolks that are like so bright. So at this point, everything seems normal, but now is when we're gonna start to add the fun stuff to it. And I have here a cocoa ball, or some people call it a cocoa stick. It's very Trinidadian. So I guess you could find it in the grocery. I've seen it in the grocery many times, but you could also get it in the market. I know a lot of local cocoa vendors, local chocolate vendors sell their versions of it as well. And it's not just cocoa. It's cocoa with spices like nutmeg and tonka bean and sometimes cinnamon, and you could smell the difference. It actually smells very much like my grandmother's, because I don't buy these, my grandmother makes them. She has her own like 4 trees in the back and she's do her own thing. But these add such depth of flavor compared to regular cocoa powder or chocolate that you would find on a shelf in every supermarket all over the world. So we're gonna try to add as much local, zest into this one. So we have about, I would say, 6 tablespoons here of the mixture. Now, you could go stronger if you like in yours, but I'm gonna stick to this because I might layer it with I am layering it with other chocolate things. I'm gonna pop this in here. And the reason I'm putting the cocoa into this now and not with the flour, because this is not cocoa powder. This is not processed cocoa powder. This is cocoa balls or cocoa sticks. And it is a much rawer form of cocoa. So it's gonna take a while for it to express its true flavor. And the more we work it into the dough, the better for the flavor. So that's why I'm gonna add it in as soon as I possibly can, which is now. All right, so we're gonna put this aside and measure out all our dry ingredients, and then we're gonna combine. We have 4 cups of all-purpose flour, cuisine all-purpose flour. And I'm gonna add to that 4 tablespoons of cornstarch and a teaspoon of salt, 20 grams or 4 teaspoons of yeast. We're gonna mix. Okay, so I have some Sun Eaters cocoa powder here. I used to use this a lot when I was in the restaurant, but I mean, I use from different vendors now, like theirs and other people's. Just gonna add a little 2 tablespoons here just to, you know, continue our chocolate flavor. And to this, I also wanna add some spice because I'm Trinidadian and spice goes in everything. My all-time fave, the tonka bean, a little nutmeg. Okay, there we go. Some Cuisine full cream milk. Oh my God, this is real full. So we're gonna add our butter, egg, sugar, cocoa ball mixture to this big bowl because we're gonna start to work here. And now again, if you have a KitchenAid, feel free to leave it in your KitchenAid and work from there. And the only thing I would suggest at this point would be to change to a dough hook instead of your paddle attachment. But I'm gonna do it by hand. I'm gonna try to add half of this. Like it's already kind of difficult to mix things in. Good sign. Means your dough is starting to develop. I've just kneaded this until it comes together nicely into a ball of dough. And you don't have to knead this as much as you need bread dough. You just have to knead it until it really just makes a ball then. Because it's not, you don't have to look for heavy gluten development for hot cross buns, at least not for this recipe. If you're making brioche buns, it's a little different, but for this this is good. This just coming together like this is perfect. Now we're gonna make the filling that I'm going to stuff all of the hot cross buns with, and this filling is traditionally called creme patisserie or pastry cream. Trinidadians call it custard. I'm going to be doing my version of that. And if you feel like you're not up to this, you could use custard powder and milk and make custard however you're comfortable making custard. But this is the way that, maybe not the way I've been taught, because I was taught a slightly different method. This is my own method that I've come up with. And we're gonna start with some Cuisine full cream milk. Now you could use any kind of milk as long as it's like milk with from a cow. So we're gonna do a little spin on our pastry cream here, and we're gonna infuse it with the Tangelo and a little bit of mint, because I mean chocolate and mint goes well, and so does chocolate and citrus. I was aiming for orange, right? But this is what we have. So I'm gonna just plop our mint in there, right? I'm not even gonna leave it for the entire time, because mint is something so strong that you don't need it 100% of the time. And I'm also going to zest the Tangelo into there. Please someone remind me to get Badawi a microplane for Christmas, please. At this point, I'm going to separate 2 eggs. So I want 2 yolks and 1 whole egg. So I have in each of these bowls a 1/4 cup of sugar, and 1 is going into our milk, 1 is going into our eggs, and this is cornstarch, a 1/4 cup of cornstarch as well, and you're just gonna add it to this. And now that custard, like the custard that everybody is accustomed eating like their whole lives, it has this amazing yellow color to it, right? Well, a lot of people are like, oh, that yellow color comes from, what do you think it comes from? It comes from the yolks, from the egg. So the yellower your yolks are, like these were really yellow, you'd get a nice yellow pastry cream. So you're gonna add a very tiny bit to the eggs at a time, little bit at a time, and just mix it in. So all you're trying to do is to bring the eggs to temperature, right? Because if you drop this in there, you're gonna get scrambled eggs. So you're just gonna go a little at a time. Right, so our eggs should be up to temp there. And we could add in a little more at a time. Right, so it's not quite where it is, where it's supposed to be here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add this back to the pot and cook it until we see a bubble. And that's when we know it's done. It goes from like 0 to 100 like super quick. So you have to really keep an eye on it. Like it will go from this liquidy thing to like very, very thick custard in a matter of seconds. So you need to keep an eye on it. You need to make sure that you keep mixing. So it literally took like 3 seconds from liquid to custard when it started turning. So it's done there. You see there's like a bubble. As long as you see there's a bubble from the bottom of the pot, it is done. So cut it off. And you're looking for this smooth consistency here. This point you want to drop a little bit of vanilla and a little knob of butter and swirl them in. And it's very important, the next step is to make sure it is cooled completely before you use it. And while you're cooling it, it needs to be covered in cling film. I mean, you could do this while your buns are proofing, or you could do this the day before and put it in the fridge and just have it waiting. And here we go, time to cool. So we have our hot cross bun dough, but I wanted to add some extra chocolatey kick to it. So I'm just gonna roll them out, add the stuff, and give him a chance to proof again. Just look at this, look at these like stripes of the chocolate that you see. Like this is clearly bits from the cocoa like stick or the cocoa ball that we grated into it to get this chocolate flavor, instead of just, you know, it like assimilating into the dough and just looking brown. Like I used some 70% dark, 100% local single source chocolate from Trinidad that I chopped up into chunks. I'm sprinkling it on here with some also locally sourced cocoa nibs. So it's like replacing the fruit that you would usually put into hot cross buns with more chocolates, basically. And all I'm gonna do is fold them up. Oh, this is so soft and nice. Oh, it's like a pillow. And I'm just gonna try to work him in from there because it's already in. All I'm gonna do is plop this back, let him proof a little more, just for maybe 10-15 minutes again. And then we're gonna portion, roll them out, and put them to proof and bake. And we are going to portion. I have my trusty little scale here, and I'm gonna make one perfect portion and then try to weigh and make sure all of them are the same size. About there's like maybe a little more. Yeah, about there is good. And that is, so let's say 100 grams. Yeah. About 100 grams. And I do the roll motion that I was shown in culinary school, and it's basically using your thumb and your little finger to kind of mold the dough into a tight ball, like so. So we are done portioning all of our hot cross buns, and I feel like this recipe was supposed to give me 20, but you know, my eye big, and I make all of them a little bit bigger than they're supposed to be, but small thing, small thing. And we're gonna just cover them, let them proof up nicely, and then pop them in the oven. So we're out of the oven, and we're not done yet. It's not that we just piping on crosses, we have more to add. So I'm gonna pull these out of here so they could cool a little bit faster because they're piping hot right now. And then I'm gonna fill them with our filling that we made before and make our frosting and frost right away. So should be good. We're gonna make the simplest frosting to put on top, and basically it is a half a cup of icing sugar and 4 tablespoons of the cocoa powder from Sanitas. You can use whatever you have at home, but I tried to stick to as local as I can for this particular video. Right, and I just have some hot water that just boiled here, and you're just gonna put enough to make sure it comes together. You don't go too much. Right, so what you're looking for is nothing too runny. It should be pretty stiff, right? And just as long as you could move the fork around in there, still perfect. And it should stay warm when you use it. So if you need to pop it back in the microwave for 5-10 seconds just to keep it, you know, nice and runny still, do that. I'm one of those few people out there who has one of these piping tips where you could actually put it in the bag, fill like basically anything, eclairs, donuts, and well, hot cross buns in our case. And you could do this without it. All you need is like a dowel or a chopstick, and you just poke in a hole in our little bun. You could go from the bottom or you could go from the side. Sometimes I like the side because I feel like I get a bigger range in terms of how much filling I could put in. But I mean, you just kind of have to poke it and make a hole. So for this one, I have a piping bag, but if you don't have a piping bag at home, you can use a Ziploc bag. Nothing is wrong with that. I've worked at restaurants where we had no piping bags for like 2 months and used Ziploc bags, so don't feel bad. I just cut the tiniest hole, put my piping tip through. And I kind of just make my hand like a cup and pull the bag over it and then make the space like this. So it's kind of like a stable way of filling the bag. If you don't feel comfortable like this, you could always pull the bag over an actual cup and fill it that way. That's also really good when it's you alone in the kitchen. Now, I didn't make a lot of this. If you notice, you don't need a lot. I mean, unless you want to frost the top of your whole thing. I think you should do that, but anyway. Let's give him a go. Okay, like so. So we're gonna frost with our chocolate frosting. And I feel like I like to frost them this way because this is how I was like shown that they were frosted like in a line, the whole tray at a time. we're gonna try our pastry cream filled chocolate hot cross buns. And like before they were nice and light, and now you pick them up and they're a little hefty because they have filling. So let's go, let's see. Ooh, nice. So there we go, that's the inside. Immediately, you get both the orange and the mint with the chocolate, and it is, oh my God, to die for. It was the best idea we ever had. Oh my God. And you know what's even better? The bits of like that 70% chocolate that we got, on the inside you get like little bits of it here and there. And you also get that like little crunch from like chewing when you chew on the cocoa nibs, and yeah, we did something special here. We did. If you want to make it and you want to switch up, you don't like mint and chocolate, you want to just do orange and chocolate for the center or something like that, sure, but try it. Do something that pairs with the chocolate on the inside. So good. So the full recipe is in the video description below, so check it out. And thank you so much, Massy Stores, for sponsoring this video today. See you next time.